Armored dragon. Three-headed dragon. Two-headed dragon. A dragon that breathes poison instead of fire. This is one of the many representations of dragons that we know from movies and stories. Hello guys, and how are you? Dragons are one of the most famous mythical creatures of all time. A lizard but giant, and fire comes out of its mouth. A fertile material for conversations and tales among different peoples. For this reason, you will find dragons often mentioned in stories, novels, folk legends, and of course in movies and series. But what is the origin of these dragons? Were they real creatures one day? And is the idea even logical that a creature like this of this size flies in the sky and also breathes fire from its mouth? Welcome to the Random Channel. But before we start, if you are new, do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell to receive our videos first. The strangest thing about dragons is that almost all ancient civilizations talk about them, from China and India through the Middle East and Europe to the Americas. In Western civilizations, for example, in Europe and the Americas, you will find that their civilization depicts the dragon as a huge creature with long, strong legs and sharp claws. Its neck is relatively long, and it has wings similar to bat wings. But on the other side of the world, China for example, the subject is completely different. The dragon is a huge, long creature that resembles a snake. He has no wings and has a mustache and horns. And the dragon, as we said, is not a belief in Europe and China only. If you search the culture of any ancient civilization, you will find that they have dragons. For example, Persia had a dragon named Azus Roara, and they described it as a yellow dragon and the size of a mountain. If we leave Persia and go to the Mesopotamian civilization, we will find a dragon named Mushusu. If we go to the Indians, we will find a dragon named Veltra, and in Greek mythology, the Hydra. And this time, the dragon has more than one head. We go up to the far north in Scandinavian mythology. We will find the dragon, Let Nidhogger. And even the ancient Egyptians had a huge creature that resembled a snake called Atip, or Apophis. And it was very similar to the Chinese dragon, and they had a great vision of a creature called Watchet. And this creature resembled a snake but with wings. The strange thing is that the many peoples and cultures that talked about the dragon are separated by thousands of kilometers. Yes, they differ in their description and shape from one civilization to another, but almost all of them talked about it. For this reason, researchers began to ask themselves, why do all ancient civilizations talk about dragons? Does this mean that these creatures actually existed? Or is there another explanation? The first opinion, which is considered logical, is that the dragons that ancient peoples described were not dragons or anything, but they were dinosaurs. Humans throughout the ages have found fossils, large bones, and huge skulls, buried in the bowels of the earth. But until the modern era, they did not know who these fossils belonged to. And indeed, the historical records of the Chinese from more than 1700 years ago contain more than one incident in which they say that they found the bones of a dragon. And because these skeletons were very large in a way that they had never seen before. This made them draw an imaginary picture of these creatures like some humans with us today, and they imagined that they were certainly powerful creatures and ruled the earth. So they fly, fire comes out of their mouth, lights up in the dark, do anything. Every civilization began to excel in describing them, to the point that in Chinese civilization, they say that dragons in the past used to talk to humans, and they were wise and kind creatures, and they loved goodness and peace. But Western civilizations demonized dragons. They even sometimes described the dragon as the devil himself, and their culture was filled with imaginary heroes. They fought dragons and defeated them in order for good to triumph over evil, and because dinosaur fossils are spread almost all over the world. All ancient civilizations and peoples talked about this strange creature. And of course every people put their own touch in these perceptions. They began to inherit them from generation to generation until the dragon legend reached us. One of the things that supports this theory is that there were actually types of dinosaurs that had wings and could fly. The Quetzalcoatlus dinosaur had a wingspan of 10 full meters, and its height when standing was almost the height of a giraffe. And for that reason, researchers said that this dinosaur in particular, the origin of the dragon myth. There is another hypothesis that dragons are imaginary creatures resulting from the minds of ancient peoples and have nothing to do with dinosaur fossils or anything like that. The whole idea is that humans at some point in time love to imagine a very strong creature and terrifies you, so they combined all the animals into one animal. The lion with the snake with the bat with the falcon with the crocodile. And they put all of these in the blender and the dragon came out. And indeed, if you focus on the dragon's head, you will find that its head resembles a crocodile or a lizard, like the image found in Europe, or the head of a lion like what is found in the Chinese image. Its wings are like the wings of a bat, and its claws are like the claws of falcons. And in some images, its body has scales and scales like those found in fish and crocodiles. For that reason, we can conclude that the dragon is a creature resulting from the merging of all animals together. And some researchers say that the reason why the dragon has many characteristics of reptiles or snakes in particular is that humans have an innate fear of this type of animal. And this animal hypothesis is also a strong hypothesis, especially since ancient civilizations embodied different types of animals. And they also sanctified them. Here we have the question that arises. Is a creature with the specifications of a dragon, is it possible for it to exist on Earth at all? As for the first question, can it fly or not? The answer is no. The dragons that people imagine and that appear in movies are very huge. One of them will weigh tons. And if you look at their appearance in the Western imagination, you will find that they have a tremendous muscle mass, as if they do not miss a single day in the gym. And for that, a creature with these specifications is not only difficult to fly, it is also difficult to jump a few meters. And this, for several reasons. Animals in general, in order to fly, their skeleton must be light, and the bones themselves must be brittle and not solid. But the skeleton of this imaginary dragon? Not light at all. An animal like Quetzalcoatlus, which we talked about a little while ago, although its length is the same as the length of a giraffe, as we said. However, researchers estimate its weight at only 70 kilos, while the giraffe, which is its size, weighs 1,200 kg. This is without mentioning that the dragon's body is not basically like a bird's body. The bodies of animals that fly have certain specifications in order to be able to interact with the dynamics of pressure and air, while the dragon's body, its body resembles a predatory animal such as a lion or a tiger, and for this reason, the idea that an animal like a dragon can fly? An unlikely idea. As for the part about animals breathing fire from their mouths, this is contrary to expectations, although it is difficult. But it is not impossible. Yes, the animal kingdom does not have creatures that breathe fire from their mouths. However, there are creatures that do something close to this. When a bombardier beetle feels threatened, it emits smoke and hot spray from its mouth. Its temperature reaches about 100 degrees Celsius, and its good ejection makes an explosion sound. This topic was driving researchers crazy, and they were not able to figure out how it did this. How can a fragile and weak creature like a beetle eject hot liquids from its body to the point of boiling? And how can this liquid be present in its body in the first place and not burn it? But when they researched this topic, they discovered that the beetle does not heat these liquids or anything like that. The whole idea, it forms two substances in its body. These two substances, when they interact with each other, produce a chemical reaction that expels heat. And for that reason, the creator made two separate sacs in its body for these two substances. And when it senses danger, it mixes these two substances together in a special chamber in the front of the abdomen, and when they touch each other and interact, they heat up and produce this small explosion. This topic made researchers think. The idea that fire comes out of the dragon's mouth is not impossible considering the previous example. It is possible that it is through a chemical reaction. It is not necessary for the fire to be from fuel or a source of heat. I mean, if the dragon's body can make a substance like diethyl ether, then it is possible for fire to come out of its mouth. And in the end, until now, no one has seen a dragon fossil. All the information we have has come from ancient tales and legends, and for that, we can say with all confidence that the dragons we see in movies and TV series cannot possibly exist in this form. But on the other hand, it is possible that there were animals that existed in the past and could fly. And there is even a possibility that they were able to expel hot liquids from their mouths. If you like the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell to help us continue.